there, marketers are interested in the relative amount of influence that a husband and wife or couples have when it comes to consumption choices. Several studies show that sex role orientation is a major factor when it comes to couples' consumption decisions and overall consumer behavior. The influence of sex role structures on decision making in the family appears to explain many things that are happening today. Sex role structure is heavily influenced by several factors in society. I'm Catherine Gaho from SBO Research. Thank you for tuning into my channel, Elevators, where we offer elevating and empowering messages to help you grow in life, career, and business. In this video, I will talk about the influence of sex role orientation on husband and wife consumption decisions. I will also highlight 6 factors that impact on how couples share decision power. This topic also applies to couples living together under different arrangements, as has become common in modern society. As you know, there are so many kinds of family arrangements. You know, in the days we went to school, we used to be told what is the definition of a family, and we would be told this and that. And today, that has all changed. Now, do like this video and stay with me to the end so that you can get the whole picture about all this business of the impact and the influence of sex role orientation on couples' decisions. Now, many studies on husband-wife influence tend to classify family consumption decisions into 4 categories. First is husband-dominated decisions, where the husband has the greatest influence. Then there are wife-dominated decisions, where the wife has the dominating role. And then the third is joint or equal decisions, where both have equal roles. And finally, there is the unilateral decisions, where either the wife or the husband are free to make a decision without reference to the other partner. Now to the factors that mediate the influence of sex role orientation in couples' consumption decisions. First is modernity. In families that have a modern sex role orientation, there appears to be a commitment to husband-wife equality. This implies that consumption decisions are likely to be distributed equally between spouses. In such a setup, there are likely to be less disagreements between the couple regarding consumption decisions and living arrangements. The globalization of media and pervasiveness of reality TV programs has led to a situation where this modern sex role orientation is presented on television and movies in households globally as the main standard in husband-wife relations. This then influences how the young couples, like in Africa, in Kenya, and elsewhere, aspire to live. And problems then start arising when this equal decision-making viewpoint that is presented in these TV programs is not shared by both parties to a relationship. And this may start to bring strife and complicate consumption decisions. Now, the question is, if you think, who watches these reality TV programs most? Is it women or is it men? Now, those who tend to watch this reality TV program tend then to have a different opinion. And this generates that conflict we are seeing, including some of the challenges we are facing in society, where we see that people disagree over small things, over small issues, and then they hurt each other. And we have also seen this change where there is a high rate of intimate partner crimes. And this could be because of this change in the perception of how sex roles should be structured within that relationship. So the second factor is culture. The sex role structure and decision-making appears to be heavily influenced by culture. The Western culture, for example, is associated with equality in couple relations. This means that they have a higher likelihood of joint decision-making or shared decision-making. On the other hand, studies show that African and Asian cultures tend to be more husband-dominant, meaning that the husband carries more influence in many family decisions regarding purchases, how to spend money, and the like. In the past, many Kenyan families operated under the husband-dominated framework. A story is told about how women in Nyeri County managed to push for a change in the decision-making structure, especially for money earned from tea farming. They succeeded to shift this decision on tea bonus payments from husband-dominated to joint decision-making. This happened through the offices of the Kenya Tea Development Authority, KTDA, who had to intervene to solve challenges at the farm level. Those of you who know about tea bonus is the lump sum money for tea that is paid once a year, and it can be quite a lot, and sometimes it changes the way people interact in families. The story goes that men in this county of Nyeri had a tendency of taking the money from tea bonus payments and disappearing from home. They would go to spend the money elsewhere. Some would even go to Nairobi saying that the chicken in Nyeri had no taste and they had to go to Nairobi to get a better tasting chicken. These women, that is the wives, formed a group and agreed to boycott tea picking soon after the bonus payment. So KTDA officials noticed a decline in tea collections from various buying centers in Nyeri. They held a meeting trying to understand what was going on and decided to send extension officers to find out what was happening on the ground. As you know, in Kenya, we keep saying that for ground, things are different. So they went to the ground. And when they went there, they talked to the women. They came to realize that the problem had to do with the sex role orientation of husband dominance in money decisions. Now, tea was mainly picked by women in most farms, particularly in those days. And even where there were workers, the women were the facilitators. They would give them the baskets for tea picking and give them protective clothing and also end up even serving them food and tea, because of course it gets very cold in these tea farming areas. Now, so KTDA managers had to find a way. They decided to organize a couples forum to find a way forward. And in the end, many husbands agreed to the proposal to have joint accounts with their wives. And then the company got the couples to dress up and take joint photos for the new accounts. And that solved it. Some of the women were so excited when they got this decision. And the joint husband-wife decision-making on the tea money was adopted by the majority. To this day, you will find that in Nyeri, there are women who control tea money or who participate together with their husbands in that decision. The third point is ethnicity. Globally, ethnic subcultures are key influencers of sex role orientation and family lifestyles. Ethnic groups impact values, beliefs, attitudes, and norms, and consequently, decision-making. Here in Kenya, for example, we have over 40 tribes, each with its own unique subculture. So that when we talk generically about Kenyan culture, we actually mean the mix of all those varied subcultures. These subcultures play an important role in sex role orientation and determine the expected balance in husband-wife decision-making power. In some ethnic groups, they think women are there to be seen, or in others, they are there to be seen and work, and that's it. But they have limited roles in decision-making, especially where the money is concerned. Actually, in some extreme cases, in some ethnic groups, the husband dominance in decision-making is so deep that the wife is expected to turn over her salary or her income, let's say from business, to the husband, who then allocates her what he thinks that she needs for family consumption and her own needs. Can you imagine? This reminds me of a story I heard about this strong woman from Nyeri County again. She used to work very hard in the family coffee farm, and she would carry a 70-kilogram bag of coffee on her own, on her back. But when the time of payment came, the husband would go for the money and proceed to spend it at will, giving her small amounts of money and even forgetting to pay school fees for the children. Then one day, she couldn't take it anymore. According to the story, well, they say this strong woman who was carrying 70 kilos of coffee, you can imagine her size. They say that she sat on the husband at night and beat him up until he agreed to a joint decision on how to spend money from the coffee farm. The next day, they were seen at Equity Bank in Karatina town queuing to withdraw money together. At the bank counter, the man received the money and promptly handed it over to the wife. And he then went on to explain his needs so that she could allocate him some of the money. And now it was her turn to decide. And they shared the money and went their separate ways. I mean, she even considered that he needs some money for an occasional drink. And there and then, the couple shifted from a husband-dominated gender roles to a wife-dominated decision framework. Fourth, religion. Another factor at play in this issue of sex roles and couples' consumption decisions is religion. Consumer behavior studies have explored the question of consumer-related marital roles of Catholic and non-Catholic families, Muslim and Christian families, as well as religious and non-religious families. And some of the research findings suggest that in some religious families, husbands have greater dominance in various purchase decisions, while those in other religions tend to have more equal or joint decision making. Religion may also prescribe what products husbands can have or what wives can do. In fact, in some religions, they determine these gender roles in the family or even prevent members from consuming certain products. Now, the fifth point is economic development. Some studies on the influence of husband-wife decision-making have found that husbands in less developed countries make more unilateral decisions than those in more developed nations. According to studies that have looked at the nature and extent of the influence that couples have in consumption decisions, economics plays an important role. The findings of studies on the influence of wives, particularly in various European countries, indicate wide differences between British, French, Italian, and Dutch households. Now, coming to Africa, the common tendency here in Kenya is that in most rural families, the husbands make more unilateral decisions. But in urban areas, there seems to be more joint decision making. However, there are still many who hold on to the rural perspective and the way they saw things happen in their families and are not willing to change. And this brings many conflicts between couples, especially the young couples, as the women seek to shift the power balance to align with the changes in society today and to align with also what they have seen on television, on reality TV programs and the like. Because of all this global exposure, we see a lot of challenge in relationships. Furthermore, research also shows that changing gender role orientation is impacted by changing family dynamics and lifestyle. The sixth is the stage in the decision process. Research shows that the influence of sex roles can vary in different stages of decision making. For instance, in a decision to buy a washing machine, the wife is more likely to recognize the need and proceed to do the search for information. But when it comes to the final decision, when money has to be spent, you find that it's likely to become a joint decision making with the husband involved. The money stage for major purchase decisions tends to involve both spouses in most cases, but all this depends on the type of product. In case of routine household purchases, the wife might independently make the decisions at all stages. Now, when it comes to durable products and more expensive products like buying a home or land, then the joint decision perspective applies. Now, if you take this to the individual family level, you will notice that there are so many variations depending on how these factors interact with that individual family. The other day, I saw a TV program where a family argument arose because the husband wanted to determine singularly what his new wife should be wearing. And he was saying that now that you are a wife, you have to stop wearing trousers and wear dresses. And the wife was saying, no, I've never worn dresses. Why do you want me to wear trousers? When we were dating, you never mentioned it. And all that. And the matter escalated and led to a separation. And that's how you see this sex role orientation in decision making between couples can create severe conflict. Now, to sum up, the factors that mediate the influence of sex role orientation in consumption decisions between husband and wife are: first, modernity; second, culture; third, ethnicity; fourth, religion; fifth, economic development; and sixth, the stage in the decision process. Thank you for staying with me. Do like this video and share it with other people who you think might benefit from it. Thank you and best wishes. We all need to elevate our mindsets at this time. And led to us.